Because if you leave a Gen Z to go and he's asked a question, why can't I do this? He might answer that you put it in request for this.
That is
That is
true.
it.
It
But
wasn't part of the manual.
but the boss, who is probably a millennial or an OG, will say, oh, okay, we will look into it. And after the meeting, we'll talk to the customer or the client who requested for it. Actually, you need to add this feature, and to add this feature, it's going to cost you $1,000 or an extra amount of money, and it is done there. But a Gen Z on stage will tell you that, Mister So and so, you didn't request for this.
Yeah.
Trying to be outspoken, trying to express yourself, but you are going to kill the company.
Yeah.
At that meeting, maybe they are stakeholders. Once you kill the company, then we that are there for survival, you are killing us. You are there for, you can get money to buy pizza, to change your hair and all those things.
Really?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Don't worry.
What
Hi, friends. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Take 'em So podcast, your one and only podcast for the young adults. And yes, you're back with another episode. And you know how we do it. It's your girl, Irabna, and I'm doing this with
the native son. So
Charlie.
welcome.
How far?
I've been good. How have you been?
It's been okay. I can't complain. God has been good, you know.
I'm glad we're all doing good. I mean, the wave, the heat, and then the tiredness wave is just moving around. But then
It's
you just
really
have to
crazy,
push through it
you know?
and then, just get things going. So I've been well. I can't complain as well.
I mean, you're looking good.
Like
Yes, today we actually have someone you've seen before in the episode. I remember when we were recording the client photographers episode, and I'm sure you guys actually liked it because it was one of the most streamed episode in the last season. And we brought him back because today the discussion we are having is between the Gen Zs and the Millennials. Where we find ourselves in the workplace, there's that bit of friction. It's like we see Gen Zs to be this and we see millennials to be this. Gen Z for Pekasa and millennials are this and that
in my
and that.
literature class, they'll say clash of culture.
Exactly. Clash of the Titans. So we have a millennial here. He's actually a millennial. He's a grown man. And we have him on the podcast so that we can have this conversation. Hi, Kashmo.
Yeah. Hi.
Welcome to the second zone.
Thank you so much.
How have you been?
I've been well. The stressful days and pushing harder, trying to make productivity an excellent thing.
But it smells like money.
Yeah, I mean, money is good. Yes, you can't pay the deal, so you don't talk much.
Yeah.
Down
That's why we are millionaires.
Downboard, short passes.
Inshallah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to have you again here.
Charlie, thank you.
So the discussion we're having today, we're talking about the Gen Zs and the Millennials, the future of work, how it's looking like. I'm sure you find yourself in a corporate environment, and you have seen some Gen Zs come, probably service persons come, and you're like, hey, now I'm crying, so then all pre. I'm sure you've said something before.
Charlie.
So let's have this discussion. Let's start from Gen Z millennial. Speak from the millennial point of view.
No, don't restrict him.
Okay.
He can speak for both. I mean, he has interacted with
Okay,
both,
he
so
himself
knows-
is a millennial, but he has had.
interacted with.
So let's get the conversation rolling.
Okay, so I think I fall within the range where we understand our old fathers and we understand the young ones. So it's like we are the thin line that separates these two generations. We can better explain how the Gen Zs are feeling and also explain well from our parents' point of view. Just that we are so much of a quiet space. Like we always want to observe, analyze, and express ourselves, not just our feelings. But with our Gen Zs, they are more driven with technology or let me say social media things to speak for themselves. They don't, if they have an issue with you, probably do not even sit you down to talk.
You just see
They
them
will
on
see
TikTok.
on
Like,
TikTok, on social media, on
They'll
Twitter.
take you to the high court of
Charlie,
TikTok.
And the worst part is sometimes you don't just post on their status. And maybe a parent will read this and it's like, hey, Charlie, is it because of what's happening at home, or a lecturer might see and say, is it because of what's happening in class? They don't really speak out loud to express, but they prefer using technology to express themselves. That's how I see them.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the both generations, I am Gen Z, and I feel like the millennials are in somewhat older Gen Zs, right? Because it is between their phase that digital. We started to move from analog
Yeah,
to
to the
digital. So
digitalization.
in much sense, as what he was saying, they understand the use of analog. They understand the use of ground communication and then also the internet communication, so they know how to navigate things. But then working alongside Gen Z's in a corporate space is not easy because one, you would have to always come down to the level of everybody so that you can do the work. So if everybody's saying, oh, this is our time, we need to do it this way, not this way, it creates that conflict between like communication. There is that communication barrier. So I think I understand it more. Workspace is like, fluid now, where we have like older generations, even before the millennials, and then we have the Gen Zs now. And then I think the future of work, it looks exciting, but then there's still a lot of work to be done, honestly.
But I am thinking that you are talking about the fact that Gen Zs would love to use social media to address certain issues. I see Gen Zs to be people who are very outspoken. Let's say there's an issue on function at there, and then the person wants to talk about it,
we're going there.
want to settle it,
Okay.
want to say what is on his or her mind. But like a millennial would say, okay, let me find a better strategy. I feel like millennials are more of the diplomacy kind of way. Like everything they want to, let's find a better way of doing this. Let's find a proper way. Let's follow the procedures. It's like, I don't know if you're getting what the point I'm trying to make.
That's for millennial Gen Z.
Millennials. But the Gen Zs are like, oh, let's just go. Let's just go with what we have. We are going to get the people to do it. Oh, let's just do what we have. We're going to da 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 da. Oh, let's do it this way. Probably will work.
Yeah.
You get? It's like they embrace ways of doing things. But millennials are like, oh, say no. This has been the procedure all this while. So why should we change it? Let's just go with this procedure.
I think, where you coming in?
Yeah, so I think you're not wrong, but I can say that it's not because of procedures or systematic things, but we grew up with our fathers.
Yeah.
Probably your father has a company. You know how he strived to reach that greatness he is, and you know how like the suffering he has been through.
Old man,
like struggling, working 6 to 6. Coming back late and all those things. You know how things went. So you understand the old man when he's saying that this meeting, probably we are doing it physically. We are meeting in person to discuss. Because that's the point where you can even see your expression in terms of how you explain things to even get a better understanding. And we also know how our brothers or our younger ones will prefer a Zoom meeting where he can probably use some AI and even ask the question and get some answers.
They'll even
and they are
put
not
doors there.
Yeah, you end up, and we feel they end up not speaking from their minds alone, but other technology-driven tools.
But the technology-driven tools, it's my mind that I'm giving to the technology-driven tool to direct it in a way.
Yeah. Technology is good. It's good to rely on technology, but then also it stifles creativity. It stifles critical thinking. What he's saying is that in a space where everything is like in person, you have to be there, think about it, and then make a resolution there. It gives everybody the opportunity to think deep, right? Analyze the situation or the issue at hand. But then when it comes to let's say remote or hybrid works where you are behind the screen, probably you have like multiple screens around you, and then there is something to discuss. You could just type in, oh AI, we're doing this, what do I say? Right? And then it will just automatically give it to you once you have internet, and then you just look at it and you're like, okay, so I've come up with we can always do it. So there is no, like, it's not your mind, because what AI has fed you, that is what either you are paraphrasing or reading it directly to the people over
But
there.
you know, AI has produced something. I have to understand before I can tell my team that, oh, this is what I want us to do. So if AI has said something, then I know that, oh, I deal with the maintenance. I wouldn't even talk about it. But if I understand it and the AI has produced it, why shouldn't I use it?
But then
It's
why
like,
why
you
did
are
you
not
ask
talking for
AI in the first
You
place?
are not a millennial.
I'm
No,
not,
no,
but
Gen
then
Z.
I'm not going to be biased because I'm Gen Z.
No, it's not about being biased though, because I know Gen
just
Z
speaking the
embrace
truth.
AI. You know, it's good to work smart. It's good to work fast. It's good to you see that kind of thing. Me, where I work here,
I
sometimes
don't see that
when
kind
you
of
use
thing. Explain.
AI,
Okay, so
when you use AI to work, they're like, "Hey, use your brain, kakra." I'm like, ah. What do you mean?
Abna,
I gave the instruction to the AI to produce what I want, and it produced it, and I
But it is
perfectly
not your
understood
work.
it.
It is
You
AI
said?
produced.
No, it is a cooperative work. I gave you something, polish it up for me, and it did.
no, Abna. What I want to say is, is AI all right? It's enabling you to think all right,
Yes.
but you realize that the thought or the knowledge given to you is not from you.
It's a polished
No,
knowledge.
it's not a polished knowledge.
How?
It is polished when you give it a content and tell the AI that, oh, write it in the best way.
That is what I'm
But
talking
if
about.
you ask a question, how do I solve this? And AI gives you a solution. And you read it out in a meeting. You make a PowerPoint of it and present. That's not your knowledge. So I always tell my people that at work that we need people who are smart and intelligent or critical thinkers. You know, our fathers has given us procedures. When you get to work, greet your everyone, do this, do this, do this. At the end of the day, at 9 or let me say 5 p.m., we close. But in this world where we are now, we need people who can think overboard. Maybe there's an issue, not just a procedure. There's an issue. The procedures are not working. How do you give a solution at the moment? Not the instance of taking phone, AI, someone has fallen. What should I do? The AI will tell you that, oh, lift the person up, check the temperature, check this, check this.
But if the solution can be given, why are we not using the solution?
See, there are critical times and they are like when you have like more time to do something. Do you get it? That is the difference between a millennial and a Gen Z, or someone who is AI driven and someone who probably has a critical thinking. You can have a Gen Z who has critical thinking, all right, but making the AI your first call
It's a problem.
It's not a problem. I won't say it's a problem, but making it your first call and reading the exact thing the AI is giving to you is a problem.
So you're saying we shouldn't trust AI 100%.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't trust AI, but what I'm saying is you should have a fair idea of what to do before AI confirms it. Because AI is also their storage information that you are picking from. So what if, okay, so let me say for instance, AI is a tool, it's a system. I've developed one, and I tell you that Ghana changed from Gold Coast. Instead of 1957, tell you it's 1960. The kid that will come next 20 years will be using that AI to feed him from that information. He gets the information, it's 1960. And now he will tell you who wrote the book or who were there that you are wrong. That is the problem.
Yes.
So I'm sure this will explain things well to you.
There is one thing I want to say. I'm not against the use of AI. In fact, I think it is one of the effective tools these days because of the way technology is advancing, right? But then if you rely solely on AI, it makes your work difficult, and then it makes critical thinking and then your analytical skills very poor. Yeah. Because one, as a writer, when I write, I am writing from my own vocabulary, right? And then one time I chanced upon an article that was, looking at how they are taking words, our everyday words, dive, for instance, DIV, for instance. Right now, you can't use it in an essay because AI detectors will flag it as an AI-assisted work.
Yes.
But then it's our everyday language.
That's
we use
true.
it every day. AI was built on the knowledge that humans have already lived, right? Our lived experiences, our conversations, our vocabulary, and then it is assisting us. But why is it that if we use these tools, right, to polish our, write-ups, our media and everything, people use another AI to also detect these words and then tell us that this is AI generated. And then, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's good to use them to be efficient, to help you structure your work, but then don't rely on the answers. Make it human, make it your experience. Like, pick the knowledge from there, but then make sure that you are putting your experiences in there. That's what we're all trying to say.
I think
So, bro.
low-key, I think I'm getting your point because I use AI, but this is how I use it. I produce what I want to produce and I give it to AI to polish it up.
So that's real right.
Make it comprehensive, make it understandable, make it interesting.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it. So I don't like just go there and say, oh, generate this for me. No, because
let me give you one trick here.
Yeah.
Sometimes challenge AI. When AI, you give AI like something to look over or analyze, and then it feeds you back with suggestions or places for refinement. You can challenge AI. But then don't you think this is not right? And then it will quickly tell you, oh, you are right.
Yeah.
But then it automatically gave you like a polished idea.
Yeah.
But then once you say, I don't agree with this, then it automatically starts to agree with you, or it gives you like other suggestions. So AI should tell you that alone should tell you that AI is not like that effective. You have to rely on your gumption.
That's true. Now let's talk about this thing. Gen Zs are, how should I even say it? Quiet quitters, if I should say.
Okay.
Or they are like, oh, they don't like toxic work areas. This is how they do their hands. I don't like toxic work area. So whilst he's at work, he's looking for another work.
Yeah.
Born resignation letter that. Do you get? So as a person is there, is actually looking for another work. They actually hop from one work to the other because when they feel the slightest what's the term?
Stress,
the slightest
burnout.
stress, the slightest burnout, they are finding better options. But a millennial, from my perspective, from what I've seen, would actually let me wait small. I mean, they helped me get this far. Let me just be here for the meantime. By Gen Z, once almost a stress was her, oh my boss, I'm not getting the
So
good working.
what's the question? Because you're explaining it for us.
The good working term conditions, I'm leaving. So looking at these two behaviors, do you think it's actually going to affect the future of work?
I'm seeing the future of work as the point where we think about flexibility, we think about AI-driven tools, we look at technological advancements, but looking at per the context you want us to discuss, like job hopping, quiet quitters, you realize that millennials our work is our survival. That's how we see work. We see work as a survival. I got this job to be able to survive, to be able to afford my house rent, fuel, or take care of my parents. That's how millennials see work. But Gen Z see work in a different way. They think work should be so flexible. So they will tell you that work smart and gain more, or work less, get more money. But from our side, it's more of the survival type. But they don't see work as such. So there's lack of loyalty on their side in a way. Because once they are in the work, they I don't know how to put it, but we are the kind of people where we have friends we can release stress with, friends we can go out with, friends we meet at church to talk about football or to talk about certain things. But Gen Zs are always on their phone. They interact mostly on social media. So in person, they lack that kind of, oh, my brother, how are you doing? Like, they even lack those kind of things.
Communication
The furthest or the longest communication
is, oh, hi,
how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. But when
That's
they meet
all.
you on WhatsApp, they can talk plenty.
What they go on.
Yeah, so when they come to work, that's the point where they feel their bosses should respect them. Their bosses should give them time. As in, if they are stressed, their bosses should be welcoming to be able to take their stress. But I mean, your boss is not there for that. So now they end up quitting slowly. It's like, my boss just see me and greet me and he leaves. I mean, as a boss there, you should even listen to me and what I have said, and you give the directive. It's not you coming to work and telling me that today we are doing this, tomorrow we are doing that. This work is so stressful. So then they find another work and they hop into it.
Yeah.
That is, so they hop into works more than the millennials. That's what I think.
I think I agree with Kashmo because when it comes to millennials, they entered the job or the workspace due to economic recession at the time where the economy was declining,
Yeah.
right? So every job that you secure is like a survival for you.
Yeah.
It's something that you need to stay on because once you leave, it will be very difficult for you to secure another one. So there is that job loyalty, there is that consistency, there is that communication among peers, right?
Yeah.
Where people are, sharing information, sharing ideas. But then when it comes to our generation, there is a vast resource around us, right?
More opportunities.
Every opportunity that you could think of, you would get these days, unless you don't want to do it. And then these days, Gen Zs are embracing creativity,
Yes,
entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Where when they feel like, I can do this on my own, then let me start something. So when you go to LinkedIn, you see a lot of people, founder, CEO of this,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then you
yeah,
go
yeah,
to their
yeah.
companies, and then it's just empty. The same, but then it's startups, things that they are doing, but they don't know how to manage them. Some are doing well actually, but then for a millennial to say that I have a company, when you run it back, you know that this is a solid company. This is a company that has employed a lot of people.
Oh, but
This is
let's look at the time boundary as well. The time boundary within for a millennial to operate and for a Gen Z to operate. A millennial has been in the system, like they've been in the system before Gen Zs have because they are older. Do you get?
yes, I get saying.
So if you are to judge a millennial startup and a Gen Z startup, it wouldn't be on the same
Oh,
pedestal
not.
because
I'm not judging it from the startup point, right? I'm saying that
longevity
if you
and all those
see
things.
a millennial say he's a CEO of this, right? It means it's a solid business. It's not an empty CEO, right? But then if you see a Gen Z say, I am a CEO, I'm a founder of this, right? The probability that the company does not even have a working, like a physical working
Some
space
don't even
is very
exist.
high, right? Some are just like online transactions, online interaction with clients, right? That is why I'm saying that Gen Zs were open to like a lot of resources, any job that you want to think around, right? But then back then it wasn't like that. It was more about security. It was more about we need to do this to survive, right? But then these days, if I'm in the workspace and then I feel like what I am doing here, I am building somebody else's company. I'll just be like, nah, I want to be my own boss. I
yeah, I
want to be
can't put
my
all
own
my
CEO.
effort in
Then
somebody's work.
I'll
Let me
just
go
hop,
and use it for my
right?
own.
But then that time, people were not thinking that way. They were
Yeah.
doing it
Yeah.
for the survival,
Yeah.
right?
I think Cash talked about the fact that millennials are more loyal.
Yes,
They would
there is
want
more
to.
loyalty
Yes.
in a millennial than in a
But
Gen
we
Z.
will look at what is going to serve us.
Yes, we are
What's
more
going to
like,
benefit me.
Yeah.
If it doesn't serve me, it doesn't deserve me.
look
And
at
that's
you.
on period.
So if you look at remuneration and all those things, when you come to companies, for instance, a millennial looking at a company pushing him to further education or
Very
some
true.
training and all those things. But a Gen Z will be looking at the next laptop that the company will be giving. You can't let me be programming and you give
Is
me
there
this
Wi-Fi?
laptop. I mean, no.
Does the company gives
let's look
food?
at it from this perspective. What the person is actually seeking for is the thing that comes with work. What's a mini way? What am I supposed to use to work? You've not given me my tools to work, but you're expecting me to work. And if I speak out to you, are like, you talk too much.
No,
Let's talk about this in a field of work. The fact that we say that Gen Zs would say, oh, they like asking for, like, I know my rights, people. Everything, I know my rights. Why are you not providing me this? Don't you think it's a good work behavior?
I think it's good. You see, you can know your right and express it in a nice way. For instance, you sit your boss down.
Yeah.
Boss, this software you want me to develop or this data you want me to analyze, it will require me to have this kind of skills, this specs of laptop, so that I can effectively use it or do the work you are giving to me. Because our parents look at productivity. They are key features as part of their daily work. So once it's going to give them the like productivity is going to be of a high level, they will give it to you. But Gen Z sometimes don't even talk to the boss, but they are colleagues. And my boss didn't give me this and he wants me to do this and blah blah blah, all those kind of things. And unfortunately for them, in a way, their boss get to hear about it, and it becomes somehow like, I mean, you're not loyal to me after all the things I'm doing to you or doing for you. If you have something to tell me, you could just come to me and express it. But
Then the Gen Zs I know
I
are
think-
different too.
I
They
think-
just go straight and tell you what they
no,
need.
like
I think-
you can go straight,
I
but among their peers, the news travel faster than even they going to the CEO. That is the
I think most
thing.
of the time it has been a break in communication. When it comes to the workspace, Gen Zs normally do not tend to speak up like a lot. One thing is we hate to ask. We fear that, oh, once you ask, they will shut you down. But then unless you have asked, you wouldn't know, right?
Yeah.
So they tend more to complain to peers more than to actually tackle
The top management.
the management. But then there are also some Gen Zs that are bold, right? They will take the issue at hand to the higher authorities and then discuss it from there. But then it's very, very likely that people do that. One thing is that when you need to do a certain amount of work and then you know the necessary materials that are required to do that particular work, you need to ask for it, right? Although you might have the clue or the slightest idea that, oh, my boss knows that this work, we need to collect data, we need to use this. But then unless you that is doing the work has told them that, oh, this amount of resources that we have available cannot combat what we are supposed to do, cannot take the data that we are going to collect, they wouldn't know. They will assume that, oh, we have the necessary infrastructure, so you should be able to do the work. But then you not do it and be like, computer used to cry out outmoded. If the company is already using like some old computers and then you think that the software or whatever you're going to use is not going to work, you should tell them, right? That is why you are there. If they decide not to listen to you, it is their work after all, right? So you just do the best that you can. And then I think that's where the communication barrier is.
But I think I'm seeing it in a very different way. Because I see that Gen Zs will talk about the fact that, oh, I don't have the tools and equipment to work. Boss, you've not provided me with the tools. That is where Millennials will say, oh, pekasa dodo. Oh, yeah, cry. Yeah, mo ejuma shesona ye. You get, that's the point that I'm coming from.
In addition to what we said, I think is the mode or character at which you used to speak.
Okay.
That makes it wrong. Because growing up, you can't stand in front of an elderly person and be talking and be moving your left and right. I mean, it's in a way disrespect.
Like this, or put your hands at your back where you're talking.
You're always like this, or hand beside you, and you speak. So you can be outspoken, but you go in a humble way and you speak your mind. But behind you, you have your vim or all those things. But if you go and you're like, but then you are talking, and you can even hit your hand on the table. Like doing that alone, hey, it's a dismissal. Like, you get it. So it's a character you carry to speak
that's true.
out, not just the words coming out.
That's true. So be demure. Even though you're asking for your rights, be very demure. Don't go and say, "Hey, boss, I know I'm supposed to do that." No, else you'll be dismissed. But let's look at this thing. You see, now there's more of creativity, as you said the last time. Now we have people who are full-time photographers. We have people who are full-time influencers, and it's like a new phase coming up where people are embracing creativity. People are doing, like, starting things on their own. And it's a very good thing. And so what's your take on the new phase of work, how things are changing, how things are evolving? Do you think millennials and Gen Zs, which people are going to adapt very fast because now AI is taking over? Which people are adapting? Because I know millennials are saying, oh, use your brain, AI there. AI there, you can't trust AI, use your brain. How are we going to evolve in the future?
So I think they can understand each other. We do understand Gen Zs very well. We do understand.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Just that.
Maybe you're talking about a different generation.
I'm talking about Gen Zs and millennials.
Yeah. See, most often.
But you know, there are like older generation than the millennials, right?
Yeah.
The millennials are like the people between the bridge between Gen Zs and then the older generations, right? So they sort of understand the analog era and then they understand the digital era.
Yeah.
So they are in between. They are like neutral.
Yeah. So you see, when there's an issue, the way I'll just accept that it's okay. Gen Z will not do that. He would want to be head, and
seen.
yeah, and be seen like yeah, men no makan.
But what's wrong with it?
No, there's nothing wrong with it. But we feel like the way we are able to just say, oh, okay, they should also learn that. So you are looking at how the future of workplace is going to be, where there will be Gen Zs and Millennials and the upcoming ones who are not, if we don't even know how,
and the
we don't know
and
where they will be going.
Yeah.
You see, we are also into tech. We started with internet. We grew up with internet.
Okay.
And Gen Zs grew up with the technology. So there's difference between internet and technology. The technology sits on the internet. So more or less, like I can say, Gen Zs are relying on us to push.
How?
In ICT, we are internet. They are the technology.
Okay.
Technology should run on internet. So if we are millennials and we are the internet-based generation, and they are the technology-based generation, for them to run perfect, they need us. The reason why they need us, forgetting about ICT, coming back to our natural life, we understand procedures and systematic ways of doing things. They understand the IT ways of doing things, the social media way of doing things. So if you're able to break this bridge of understanding each other, I think most companies will strive very well, because we are there. We have all the collaboration, meeting people, expressing ourselves, and doing all those things. So realize that a Gen Z will develop an app, but when the presentation is to go to the big men, it's his boss who go and present.
Yes.
Sometimes, because if you leave a Gen Z to go and he's asked a question, why can't I do this? He might answer that you put it in request for this.
That is
That
true.
is it.
It wasn't part of the manual.
But the boss, who is probably a millennial or an OG, will say, oh, okay, we will look into it. And after the meeting, we'll talk to the customer or the client who requested for it. Actually, you need to add this feature, and to add this feature, it's going to cost you $1,000 or an extra amount of money, and it is done there. But a Gen Z on stage will tell you that, Mr. So and so, you didn't request for this.
Yeah.
Trying to be outspoken, trying to express yourself, but you are going to kill the company.
Yeah.
At that meeting, maybe they are stakeholders. Once you kill the company, then we that are there for survival, you are killing us. You are there for, you can get money to buy pizza, to change your hair and all those things.
Really?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Don't worry.
When we look at the future of like work right now, because of how technology is moving, I mean, talk about all the works that is like, moving on around. Right now, you can just literally stay in your room, be a virtual assistant to somebody, and then you earn money, right? But then back in the days, there wasn't anything like that. And it's so flexible to the extent that people can have remote works, people can have hybrid works where they can be on site when required, and then they can be working remote when necessary. But then back in the days, it wasn't like that. It was like all office. You go, you locked
9 to
in,
5.
you come back. The productivity was more like visibility, where you go, the more you are working, the more like you are producing. That's how it felt like, right? But then these days too, you can equally do both, right? You can equally work smart, produce like the necessary things that you need to produce, and then still have like a flexible time or flexible amount of working hours.
Yeah.
And looking at how the world is moving right now, even with technology and then AI taking over a lot of things, where we are more we're embracing remote works and then hybrid works. It's still, we can't move from the analog era, or we can't move from the millennial era where we have the office space, right? Because every company has to have a physical space, and then once there is an office, there are people there who are supposed to work, right? And then they will always be there. that is like job security. People will be there. Millennials will be there. Gen Zs will be there. Irrespective of whether you are an online influencer, an online assistant, or whatever, you still report to the office.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there will be a point in your work or wherever where you have to go to the office. Once, let's say, your payment declines, you haven't been paid for like 3 months, right? You are working as a virtual assistant and then you
need a
haven't been paid.
contact person.
Where do you go? You go to the office, right? And then
Yeah.
there are people there who are, looking into all this. There is still paperwork going on over there. So yes, the world is moving so fast, and then a lot of things are changing. Job description, job opportunities are flowing in and out. But then there is always going to be balance. It's just that the balance wouldn't be as much as we had wanted, but then there's still going to be that balance where there is balance between analog and then digital.
Yeah.
Interesting. But just to wrap up the conversation, what do you think is one of the work practices that should be abolished, whether it's Gen Zs or millennials? With the millennials, one thing that I feel like it should be stopped is actually sitting on the Gen Z, sitting on the necks of a Gen Z.
Explain that one.
In the sense that probably something happens and the Gen Z is putting out his or her grievances. I'm expressing myself, and you are like, oh yeah, cry me, I want. It's like man paying you for an kasa. You get like there's a meeting. Let's share our grievances. Let us paying for speak first. We are all colleagues and we are sharing our ideas. You see, asema, but everybody say what you have to say. This one doesn't have to go through the hierarchy.
Okay, so I get you. That's why most corporate institutions are now involving themselves or adding this to their policies. It's called the DEI, diversity, equality, and inclusivity.
Inclusivity, okay.
So you, like I was saying earlier, it is how you express yourself. You see, we are in a threefold generation, and each of them have their own understanding.
Exactly.
So someone like me, my boss will prefer I wear a shirt, tuck in, and come and sit at the office.
Kambu.
Yeah.
You don't really even talk about the dress styles.
So if that's what your boss wants, and he's the one that puts the pen to sign
for you to get your money.
Not money. I don't want to say money. He's the one that puts pen to sign every contract. He's the one that brings the job for us to do. If this is what he likes. Sometimes if you realize that when you are able to go in line with what they like, you're able to live freely in the company. Probably they won't report every Friday. Friday, you just send a report. I mean, it takes nothing away from you.
Yeah, that's true.
But once you are like me sitting here, I'll send tomorrow, then it's like you and your boss, you are creating that vast space or like more room for war. So I think we can all keep our things to help each other, not really to abolish. Because if it's abolition, some will think, then let's abolish collaboration, as in physical meetings and all those things. For now, there's Zoom, there's Google Meet and all those things. I can just work once you send me an email. But collaboration is one key thing we can't take out of every company. I see you, the way you express things, the way you do your things. I can learn from you. You end up learning from you. I know someone who has learned the way his boss work because like, I mean, you get it. But if it was a remote work, you won't see how your boss speak out, how he dresses, how probably he comports himself. It is all, I see the company as a training field because our parents are now busy. They are training people in their company.
Yeah.
And you are in another company thinking your boss is stressing you. The role of your father is being done by your boss. So in a way, I think we can keep all and just balance things well.
So, before that, right, when you go to certain companies, they don't allow certain people to take part in decision making.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then that has been like a very bad practice over the years. But then these days, because of what the world is turning into, the phase the world is moving into right now, it is very, very essential that we allow people to take part in decision making, even if
Yes.
it's not effective, like their ideas are not effective, making them part of it, hearing them, right, listening to what they have to say, putting it into account, right, and then
Yes.
also coming to like a very good resolution where it works for everybody, even if it doesn't necessarily works for everybody. At least they see that they have been heard to a point. It makes it flexible, right? But then also there is also this attitude of some Gen Zs that we feel like, no, this older generation, they are doing things wrong. They've been doing this thing wrong.
Yeah, everything they do
So
is
everything
wrong.
is
My
like
way is the
old.
right way.
Whether it's
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
We should
it's
do it
true.
like this way. They should change. Technology has changed, so you should also change. But then you can't tell. Sorry to say, Dangote, who has been running his business like long time, although he will employ like people here, I'm sure he has employed a lot of people from in the Gen Z's era who are like running his company now. Right now, I'm sure they've switched to like digital. But then you can't go and tell him that what he did in the past, like, didn't contribute to the success that he's doing right now,
Exactly.
right? So you can't
Exactly.
dictate for them. Although he can listen to you. Oh, yeah, we can take this approach and then we can do this. But then you can't tell this person that, oh, nah. So it's just understanding, communication. Once you communicate, there is that. And then you mentioned the
dressing.
attitude when it comes to dressing. Yes, there is that flexibility now, right?
Yeah.
Agency will give you that tie, shirts, prim and proper, right? No, sorry, did I say
Millennial?
millennial will give you that prim and proper, like that attitude to work. But in Gen Zs, there is more flexibility. We can just wear t-shirts, wear
Sweatpants.
sneaker, wear jeans. Like, I'm a jeans person, right? So if you give me the opportunity, I will wear jeans like in the office space.
Yeah.
But then there are certain job descriptions that are
That you
very
cannot.
tight. You can't be a lawyer and then wear like casual outfits.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
that's not allowed, right? So there are rules that you cannot disobey, and then there are rules that you can at least bend them a little and then make it suit you. So yeah.
I mean, this has been a very interesting conversation with the pros and
I feel
cons.
like I'm a millennial.
Yeah, you are. I was actually about to say you are not a Gen Z. We've taken you away from our
No,
team.
I understand both
generations.
generations.
Millennials.
I understand both
It's
generations.
been
That
a
is
wonderful
why.
conversation. Thank you so much, Cash, for coming. So let's end with our last words. Anything you'd love to say? Then we can wrap up the conversation.
What I'll end with is, I mean, we are humans and we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
The world is a learning environment. Learn from a Gen Z, learn from a millennial, learn from a boomer. Like, just understand each other, and I mean, the world will be a better place for us.
I feel like you're talking like a pastor.
Like a pastor.
This episode, you're going on a low.
So yes, the world is moving so fast, but then we can't forget our roots. I am an advocate of Sankofa. Yenchi Sankofa. You can pick knowledge of the old, knowledge of the current, knowledge of the future, weave them together, and then use it to direct your path. If you think you need to go to the ground to learn from the bottom up, you need to do that. If you need to start from where you are at the moment, you need to do that. You don't have to job hop. I mean, sometimes it's good depending on how your career path or your career goal is like. But then there are certain jobs that you don't want to job hop. You need to secure them, because once you move from there, somebody is taking over, and then people take like job and then they don't move at all. You'll be like, oh, this person should be retiring, but then the person is still there. No, they have comfort in that work. But then Gen Zs, we're not doing that. We are like, oh, I can pack my bag and then go, I can start something. But then we end up falling on these same people for sponsorship, for mentorship, for all these funds that we need to grow. SMEs, we all want capital to start. We all want capitals to. So in as much as we are being creative, in as much as we are pushing our own career path and then ideas out there, we should never forget that these are the same people who have built us, and then they are going to be there. They are going to support us along the way. So Never forget your
Your
roots,
senior
Sankofa.
brothers.
It's looking like 2 millennials against the Gen Z, but I mean, do what you gotta do. So yeah, this is where we end today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. And if you've watched up to this far and you've not subscribed, kindly hit the subscribe button and follow us on all our social media platforms at takeamso_pod. And subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. And send in your reviews so that people will get to know about the podcast and they'll subscribe so that we'll get a following and we'll build our followership. So thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode. And on 3, 2, 1, we say, take 'em so. So 3,
Subscribe.
2, 1,
Take 'em so.
That's a wrap.